There we go. Bill Kyper and Bourne. Leaf edition.
Yeah.
The quest for 70.
Oh.
Right back at it tonight. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, Dave Sisboom Ba, who I'll be probably told is Jimmy Wilson.
No.
In about 3 seconds.
No, it's Sisboom Ba.
Wow, Sisboom
Ba.
Yeah. Nice light colored jacket today,
Nice job.
Kippy.
I'm feeling very. I'm feeling spring. I'm feeling playoffs.
Very nice coat.
Yeah,
You look good.
Now you referenced Miami Vice, and I'm like, you weren't born then.
No, but
So what do you got on repeats?
No, it's first off, it's got enough cream in it that it's not. It's just a nice spring coat. Everyone references Don Johnson. It? That's remember Marner at the All-Star game rocked the white suit. It's always a thing that comes up.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I know it from reference only.
Freeze! Miami Vice!
Hey, all right.
Nice. And Sammy,
Yeah.
you pick up that spring feel because you got 18 holes in today.
I did, yeah. I did.
Is this the way it's going to be the rest of the season, playoffs,
No.
where
Time you tee off.
7:30. It's once in a while. Like it's buddy, I gotta tell you, hard to get tee times in the city of Toronto. So when I get lucky enough to get an early one, I'll go and play. But it doesn't happen all that much, to be honest.
conditions? Give us a rating
Spectacular.
on this.
10 out of 10. Give my beloved Lakeview a shout out. They crushed it. Perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got to get a free round.
But hey, a lot of listeners at Lakeview. Got
Yeah?
stopped a few times. People love the show. My boys in the pro shop love the show.
All
It's,
right.
it's a big real Kyper and Bourne course, boys. So you guys got to go out there.
You took me last year.
We're
Love
there.
it.
Yep.
I'm in.
All right,
I'm
let's
in.
do it.
So all of you watching and listening, Sportsnet 590, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus, glad you're aboard. Once again, you go and catch us live, pick us up on a podcast, and text us at 590, 590.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get Sammy to read some throughout the rest of the week here as the Leafs. It's game day. They're in Sunrise.
I know. You know how I
It's
know?
even better weather down there, like 82.
That's sweet. That's sweet. You know how I know it's a basically almost playoffs feel? Looking at the clip sheet today. Maurice.
So the reason there's no Sheldon Keefe
Yes.
is because I believe for the first time all year, not on the second half of a back-to-back, no morning availability, no morning skate, no nothing.
But that's their day off. That's like, this is the
No, but he
off day.
always
This is what Brian Burke was talking about. You want to, you don't get to take the night off, but you get to take a practice off.
Mm-hmm.
And technically, it's a practice still to come to the rink. It's work. It's
But Kyper, they never do this. As a man who follows when they speak very closely, as I'm cutting the audio for our show, I'm always on top of it, and they're always in the morning on game day.
I know, but
This is a playoff feel.
This is the closest that you can get to load management without load management.
And I will say,
They're not resting anybody.
It's a little weird that they're not doing in the morning.
Well, I will say it definitely would have been directed then, because if you give an optional skate, some guys skate. Like, you'll get half dozen
Gio's
guys.
there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They, always. So he definitely would have said, no one's going on the ice. We're not having a skate. So yeah, this would be Keefe directed, trying to keep the guys off the rink.
A potential preview of the first round of the playoffs.
Potentially.
A lot of we're going to
high
get into we'll get into the games tonight at 8.
Unless the Bruins continue to throw games.
Plenty. Just hold your horses there, Sammy. Back off for a second.
Okay.
All right. We'll get into the scenarios in a little while, but as long as it's out there that this is a potential first round matchup, I just want to revisit a conversation we had the other day, yesterday, about, okay, what do we expect tonight? Because, I mean, I've been out of the game for a long time now. I can tell you, if I was playing tonight, I would absolutely start the process of message sending, whether it's trying to run somebody, whether it's chirping somebody, whether it's like, hey, can't wait to get started. I'm going to own you next week. Whatever the case is.
You felt like you didn't have that right yesterday. Is that right? Like in clarifying that? Because yesterday you didn't seem like you thought it was going to be.
I'm anticipating a preseason feel. I don't think anyone will be like me 25 years ago.
Really?
I don't. Listen, they could surprise me and they can come out tonight and kick the crap out of each other. But I don't get that feeling.
Why don't we listen to Paul Maurice's thoughts on the game tonight? Number one,
All right.
Derek, if we could play that.
All right.
Well, we'll play to win. If there's something on the line for our team, we'll address everybody that's healthy and ready to go. Which I like. Not a fan of sitting guys out. Not a fan of because then you're a week between games. I'm not a big fan of that. So everybody plays. Verhaeghe's good to go, so he's back in the lineup tonight. Ekman Larsson won't play. He could. I mean but there's no sense in putting him in. And away we go.
Okay.
We're playing to win the game.
Play to win the game.
Verhaeghe's big.
Yeah, Verhaeghe's big.
But do they want to win?
We'll play to win.
So here's the scenario for, he said when there's something to play for. If the Bruins were to lose tonight and the Panthers were to win, Panthers would win the Atlantic and Leafs would get Boston.
Look at you. Just get it out of the way. Just say it.
These teams are tripping over themselves to play the Leafs. And I think if you're on the Toronto Maple Leafs, that should be the most bulletin board. That should inspire you more than anything. And it might not, because we know this
so
group.
You really believe Boston threw the game last night?
Boston Bruins played the Washington Capitals. Boston Bruins are one of the better teams in the league. I know they haven't been as good for the second half of the season. They had 4 shots in the first period. They had 4 shots in the second period. And they had 8 shots in the third period for a total of 16. Get shut out. They're tripping over themselves to play the Leafs, boys. They want to play the Leafs. And who could blame them? Who could blame them? I can't look at that result. I watched the highlights.
I don't know. How can you?
They played awful.
How can you?
They've been struggling.
16 shots struggling.
They're struggling.
We watched the Caps how many times? They bleed chances. They bleed goals.
Horrific.
They're awful defensively.
I don't know where to go with this.
It's like, are we going to entertain this?
I cannot.
I think that
this happens across sports, boys, where they want a favorable matchup. Like happens in the NBA. Teams sit their whole, I think it happened on Saturday. I forget which team it was. Sat their whole starting lineup in the fourth quarter of a game they had a chance to win at home. They were getting booed. It happens. I'm just telling you, boys.
Do you actually think that they threw the game?
I don't. Okay.
Not throw, but do you think they had their foot off the gas on purpose?
Absolutely.
They
had a good
lineup in.
Yeah.
Did they not?
Who do you think? Okay. Let me break it down this way. Who do you think they want to play? The Toronto Maple Leafs?
I don't think the Leafs are some reward.
Who do you think they want to play? The Toronto Maple Leafs or the Tampa Bay Lightning? If they had their choice in the first round of the playoffs, the Boston Bruins.
I don't think it's that much of a runaway.
Come on.
You think it's Tampa?
Oh, they want to play the Leafs.
They want to play the Leafs. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Listen.
What about the Florida Panthers? Who do they want to play in the first round? Yes.
I just think it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
To try to
all right
pick your poison.
For sure. But it's a funny concept. I don't personally buy it.
Okay.
I think they would like to win the Atlantic Division.
What happens if they lose to the Sens tonight? In a similar fashion.
I would have to go back and research how bad they've been recently.
All right. Okay.
It would be eye-opening.
Marchand under 17 minutes last night.
Oh, that's not helping my case.
Yeah, it's not helping mine either. If he's playing 15 or 16 minutes tonight,
but
I'll come over to your side a little bit.
For sure. That would do it for me. If the top guys barely played.
Yeah.
But I don't know why you guys think this is such an absurd concept. Why wouldn't the Bruins?
Well, because
they own the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Losing multiple straight games, Sammy. That's not how you get
the
prepared.
Toronto Maple Leafs.
That's not how you get prepared for playoffs. That ice time is more resting your good players for playoffs.
Okay.
All right. In the meantime, the Toronto Maple Leafs will not rest anybody.
Well, we don't know because there's no lineup stuff.
Who's there to rest?
Yeah. Good point.
Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
No. Not a snowball's chance.
Would it blow your hair back if Matthews were watching tonight?
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
You'd look like Berkey?
I would look like Berkey. Yes, I would.
All right. Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Marner will play.
Yeah.
Willie will play.
So
Morgan will play.
got to 97, eh?
Willie needs 3.
He needs 3.
Yeah.
He's playing.
Now we're going to watch him kind of run around and try to score every shift here.
I'd bet my left ear Willie gets 3 points in the next 2 games.
Yeah, I would agree.
He's just again, if you're targeting the Leafs, like you're going into tonight and you're like, we're going to set the tone, we're going to send a message, we're going to run their stars. Willie is kind of the guy who he's under the radar, right? He's bigger. He doesn't get hit. He doesn't talk to anyone. He's playing on the third line. He'll find a way to sneakily get a point or two. Same against Tampa. So I think he finds his way to 100 points.
With that talent and his ability,
and when he turns it up,
it's not a stretch. 3-2.
No,
that's a good period.
Yeah,
if Willie feels it a little bit, and he's getting some decent looks, I think, but he's missed a couple of shots too, which isn't very Willie-like this year.
It would be nice just to get him humming pre-playoffs.
I wonder if he look like 70 and he still gets the points. It's still the same, but could see him looking off.
Looking on Matthews?
Yeah,
2-on-1?
He
calls his own number?
I could. Anyways.
That'd be fine.
We want Paul Maurice on carry over to the playoffs?
Good clip. Let's do 2.
I never really believed in that. I never really that. What happens tonight will have nothing to do with how you come into that first game. I mean, both teams have, I think, a real healthy respect for the other team. They've also had enough success in games. They've never been lopsided games or games that they've been exciting. They've been loose, I think, this year during the regular season, kind of a little bit more loose than we'll see in the playoffs. But I think because we know each other so well, there's no new wrinkle or new secret or new idea that, oh boy, we didn't expect that to happen, right? Everybody, they got great players. We got great players. It'll be, if we play each other, it'll be a hell of a series.
Isn't that something the way you would want to portray it if you were going to unveil some great new wrinkle? You got to have something for playoffs, little ace up your sleeve here and there, change a system, a change of lineup, something. But I do think at the end of the day, not too many surprises left between these two teams.
Well, what's to be said other than Barkov versus Matthews?
Mm-hmm.
That's the matchup, and that's the one that if it goes 7 games, Paul Maurice gets that favorable matchup, and the Leafs don't.
He got asked about Barkov today about the Selke. What do you say about his Selke case? What would you say? And he said it's quiet and strong, just like him.
Oh, really?
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Dom Lucian had his award trophy using all his numbers, whatever. He had Barkov at 1 and Matthews 4 for Selke. So, a couple of guys who can defend as well.
We got Luke Fox down south that we're going to grab maybe in a minute or two. Also, Bill Lindsay will join us and help us get a feel for the Florida Panthers, whether or not they want the Leafs or not. Boston.
You're interested. You're intrigued by this take. You look at starting to.
Listen, I am intrigued because you got to golf today.
Oh,
it's that simple.
Do we have Luke or no?
I don't.
Not yet.
If we don't, can we hear what Maurice has to say about trying to shut down Matthews tonight?
Absolutely.
I'm curious. Clip 3, please.
Won't matter because he's got almost 70 of them, and everybody's been geared up to stop him, so that has no effect. I think it's more of a Toronto thing, and you watch that, and I would do the exact same thing. You get an offensive zone face-off. So at this time of year with them locked out, he's coming out 1-4 at best, right? Maybe 1-6. But when you're sitting on 69 goals, it's an offensive zone draw. He's coming back out, and you have to. There's not a rest issue here, right? We're all getting 2 or 3 days off after this game, and we're going to play. He's going to be 100% fresh. So you get a guy, I hope he gets it. I prefer it wasn't tonight, but it's a phenomenal story, and it's such an unusual thing to happen. It'd be the same way as, we're cheering for Sam Reinhart to get 50. 50 goals is a big deal. And then you get somebody closing in on 70. We just want it not to be tonight. And we will focus on their elite players the same way we would every other game. And hopefully he can get it tomorrow.
I have to admit something. I think Paul Maurice said something genuine there.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Yeah.
No games?
No, I think that he's...
No head games?
I actually think that he is a genuine fan of the game, historian of the game, and I actually do think he believes it would be cool for Matthews to get 70 goals.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
He could go off air and be like, I hate that guy. I hope he never scores another goal, but I do like what he said there, and I actually believe him. So there you go.
Then.
And I'll turn that off the second we start on Monday after game 1.
Even if they're up or down a couple of goals, then pull your goalie. Help him out.
Yeah, I'm sure he will.
All right, let's grab Luke Fox, who's down south, anticipating number 70. And this is what the whole state of Florida is talking about, right, Luke Fox?
Oh, yeah. Everywhere you go, you see 70 signs. And the city's abuzz with Matthews Chase. No, but I mean, for the Toronto side, it's obviously the story of the game. The position is locked in, and he's carrying an 8-game goal streak into this one. I mean, that's what it's all about. And I think Sheldon Keefe showed us that by how much he used him in the last game against Detroit. So I'm sure, there's a few lucky snowbirds that made their way down here, and they will be very vocal. So it should be fun. And there's actually something to play for the Panthers. They could still grab a divisional title.
They could grab a divisional title and then move on to the Lightning. I don't know if that's much of a reward, but who knows how hard they'll push. I was hoping you could give us maybe an update on injury statuses from around the Leafs here. A whole bunch of guys seem kind of halfway okay. What do we know about where Yarncroc and Domi and McMahon and Liljegren, all those guys are at?
Well, Liljegren will play.
Okay.
So he's okay. Yarncroc did not participate in a full practice yesterday. He did participate in PK reps. He is hopeful to play game 1. I would be surprised if he gets in tomorrow. But I think there's also a cap situation at play, and they want him to get a full practice in. So hopefully he practices in full Friday. And I think as a veteran, he's the type of guy that Sheldon Keefe wouldn't think twice about putting him right into the fire, even though he's coming in cold. He trusts them so much defensively. Mm-hmm. Their PK is a serious sore point, and he helps out with that. So if someone's going to come in cold without a regular season game, I could see Yarncroc being that guy. Domi's an interesting case because he's missed the last 2 practices, and in between there was a game that he actually played in that Detroit game. And so you wonder, why is he playing if he's not healthy enough to practice on either end? This one seems a little bit cautionary. So he's not playing tonight for sure. I would say he's doubtful for tomorrow. But I would also be shocked if he's not in game 1 lineup because it's the playoffs and guys play through stuff.
One of the players that you could say developed the strongest for the Toronto Maple Leafs is Bobby McMahon. And he's not available for the next 2 games. Right now, the feeling I'm getting is he's doubtful for game 1. How big of a blow is this, Luke?
Well, for Bobby McMahon, it's a huge blow. Before he got injured, I was talking to him like, how are you feeling? You're finally going to get a taste of NHL playoffs. And I hope it wasn't jinxing him, but he was just so excited. Like, he's been like a wonderful story for this team, this late bloomer, waived out of camp, gets his contract, starts playing meaningful minutes in the middle 6, pumping a bunch of goals in, hard on the forecheck, kind of adapted his game from where he was as a up-and-comer. And so you root for a guy like that. You hope he gets his first taste of NHL action in the playoffs. And now I'm with you, Nick. It looks really doubtful. Lower body, they're being very coy on timelines just because we're getting into playoff season, so everything's going to be under lock and key. But as far as the team goes, how big of a blow is it? I'd say minor. This team has won games without him. They've healthy scratched him at times. It's an opportunity for Nick Robertson, who's been putting goals in the net. He's definitely going to be an inspired guy. And this is where your depth comes into play, right? Like, there were some whispers, like, could Robertson be a guy they move at the trade deadline? And they hang on to him. And now you're thankful you did, because he's playing his best hockey as an NHLer. McMahon goes down. Suddenly you need a guy to play the left side in the middle 6, and Robertson looks to be the guy.
Luke, what should the Leafs prioritize tonight? Like, what's a good night for them tonight? Whether that be goaltending, special teams, Matthews, there's a laundry list of things we're going to be looking at. What's important for the Leafs here heading into playoffs?
Well, I mean, not to be cute, but I do think Matthews getting 70 would be a good night, just because then you can rest them tomorrow and you don't have to play him in a back-to-back. The other thing is I want to see the special teams look sharp. They've been up and down. The penalty kill especially has been on a severe downward trend the last week or so. That's something they want to get in shape. The power play got a couple goals against Detroit, so that's coming along, but you want to see that clicking. And then the other thing is I think you want to see a really good start from Joseph Woll. So he went through a stretch there where he gave up the first goal on 3 out of 4 games, sets the team from behind, especially with this team playing on the road. You want to get off to good starts. Samsonov gave up 11 in his last 2 starts. So, not that you're going to anoint Woll the game 1 starter, but you want him to look strong so that if Samsonov does stumble, you feel like, Joseph has confidence in himself and the coach has confidence to maybe shorten Samsonov's leash if things don't get off to a good start.
We're talking to Luke Fox, Leaf and NHL writer for Sportsnet.ca. So let's just kind of push Sammy's theory of the Boston Bruins tanking the last 2 games here.
Thank you, Kyper.
Is there anything out of tonight that would make you feel differently about who the Leafs match up best against to advance to a second round, Boston or Florida?
Not really. I'm pretty torn. I actually put a poll out on Twitter, and I was shocked at the number of people who responded that they don't care who they face. They really don't. Either way, they're going to get a good team. Either way, they're starting on the road. I think the Boston thing, there might be. I think there's a psychological disadvantage of playing games at TD Garden. I think when that crowd gets rolling, when the Bruins start piling in the goals, you really feel it there. Like it's like a visceral reaction, and it's wreaked havoc on the Leafs, this particular core in the past. The Panthers rink doesn't carry quite the same hostility, I would say. But on the flip side, you look at the numbers, and Florida is one of the best defensive teams in the whole league. Like, they're very stingy. They got 2 good goalies. So does Boston. But Florida's defense and goaltending has been off the charts great. So that would concern me because I don't worry about the Leafs matching either team offensively. I worry about the Leafs penalty kill. I worry about their defense. So they got all 9 guys healthy, but I don't know how many of them are top 4 guys. I think they got a lot of 3, 4s, and 5s in there. And I worry about how they match up defensively to either team.
So do you think that these final 2 games matter in terms of like tryouts for defensemen for the playoff lineup? Like, is it Liljegren and Edmondson and these guys saying, I should definitely be in? Same with Benoit?
I think Benoit is in. I think that McKay-Benoit pair is pretty much locked in as your second pair. Liljegren, maybe a little. I think he has to show strong. Yeah. I think, the fact that he's mobile, he brings an element that, not everyone does. It balances out a little bit better. So I think, I think he might have the lead over Brody right now. Wow. Brody did not have a good game against Detroit, but it's a really tough decision, I think, between those 2. Brody's definitely a third pair guy now, which is kind of crazy to think when you look at his ice time and you think, man, next to Morgan Rielly, he logs the most minutes. He also sees a lot of action on the penalty kill. And what I would say is, I think maybe on the brink of that, you're not taking out Edmondson. If Edmondson's healthy, he's playing. You didn't go out and get him at the trade deadline. He's got tons of playoff experience. He's like shot blocker, penalty killer. He's in. But I think it's between Brody and Liljegren. And so maybe there's a little bit, if one has an awful game, maybe that affects your decision going into game 1. But the thing with Keith, as we know, is whatever the game 1 decor looks like, it might not be the same for game 2, depending on how it looks.
Luke, you've covered the Leafs long enough to have seen some really good years out of Brody in a Toronto Maple Leaf uniform. Where's the drop-off for you watching him now?
Decision-making, confidence. I think he even admitted to that a couple times in the season, that his confidence has been up and down, and I think that's affected, his decisiveness with the puck. Keith used to call him Mr. Consistent. He used to have a great stick. He used to always make the safe, smart play, and now he's a little bit more sloppy, a few more giveaways, lost a little step, and I think a lot of it is in the head, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a challenging spot to be in. I think that confidence, when you start to feel some of your physical tools decline, can play into it as well. So do we think we'll see a Ryan Reeves tone-setting attempt tonight? Is he going to be running around out there or what?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's going to be a little bit of that. The Panthers are dressing a real lineup. Verhaeghe's back in. Barkov's back in. I think we could see more tone setting than you'd expect. I mean, there's an argument that it should be a no-hitter, right? It's a essentially meaningless game. Yeah, the Panthers, whether they're the 1 seed or the 2 seed, does it matter that much if they get Toronto or Tampa? Either way, they're getting a good team. But, you know, if you can lay some bruises that are still hurting by Saturday, there might be some value to that. I mean, Ryan Reeves came out and when he was speaking with the reporters yesterday, say we have to set the tone. So he's the kind of guy that likes to back up what he says.
Luke, enjoy the sunshine down there, and maybe there's a 70 somewhere. Not Sammy's golf score today, but maybe Austin. First couple of shifts. Make your job a lot easier, eh? Getting it early?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Thanks, Luke, for doing this, man.
Shout out to Joshua Cloak, who's sharing this Uber with me. He wanted some airtime there. So.
I love it. Thanks for doing it. We appreciate it.
Luke Fox, Sportsnet.ca's very own.
Love it. Two of our favorites in the same Uber.
Everyone's a team on the road.
If they're trying to win, if they're trying to dress their best lineup here, why is Stolarz playing?
Good question. I also
would you like to hear the coach of the Florida Panthers explain that? Okay, well then let's hear that clip.
Oh, that was part of the rotation straight through. That had always been planned for him to go. Yeah. We've been almost like we haven't really changed our thoughts on a goaltending rotation that we laid out 2 or 3 weeks in advance. I don't think we changed it all year. Sat down and said this probably will play out like this, and it did. So it's been good for our goaltenders mentally to, and we've got Sergei a real good number where he feels good. It's good to get Anthony in as many games as we did. We've got lots of faith in him. So we feel our rotation's right.
See, and Anthony's had a heck of a year for them.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Absolutely he has.
Like big difference right now between two teams coming in with confidence in their goaltenders. The Leafs didn't get to the place. I'm not saying that they can't snap into it come Saturday night, whether it's Samsonov running it for the first few games or Joseph Woll coming in. It's possible, but is it highly likely based on what we've seen the last couple of weeks? Like, huge advantage for the Florida Panthers here.
Anthony Stolarz played 26 games for them this year, .926 save percentage.
Wow.
Yeah. And Bobrovsky, 58 games, a .915.
Yeah.
So, they're pretty comfortable. Either way, they got a turn. I did think it's interesting, though, that he mentioned that, like, Ekman-Larsson is good to play. We're playing everyone who can play, but they're just resting him. So maybe he's a little bit not right. That's something for the Leafs to keep in mind.
Ekman-Larsson's out?
Yeah.
And Ekblad?
Ekblad, I don't actually know if he's back or not.
I don't know if he's either.
But I had read yesterday that he was supposed to be back. So we'll follow up on that after the break and confirm that. But yeah, so not showing Bobrovsky to them, I don't know if it matters one way or the other. I've never personally, as a shooter, really considered much who was the goalie unless their handedness was off.
Ekblad's still out.
Still out, okay.
So let me ask the question that Luke tweeted out to his millions of followers. Who do you think is a better matchup for the Leafs? Bruins or Florida?
Florida.
If I had to pick a team to beat Florida versus Boston, I take the Florida Panthers again.
I think so too. McAvoy, Carlo.
I'm just saying that I believe that Florida is better than Boston.
You think Florida's better than Boston?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. I take Florida right now in a best of 7.
Okay. So the Leafs would have a better chance against
Boston.
Boston.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Worded that.
Yes.
It was a little misleading.
We got it now.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's just you don't like the physicality of the Panthers? You do like it.
Yeah. I just think I think Boston's a little bit more vulnerable.
Yeah.
I do.
They're all gettable, boys.
I just don't. I'm telling you right now, every Leaf fan listening doesn't want to watch.
You just don't want to watch the Bruins
I don't want to
potentially win a series.
No, I just don't want to watch hockey games in that building. I don't want to see those seats. I don't want to see the fans. I don't want to see the players. I don't want to see the colors.
But you're damaged goods.
Hanging out with your ex-girlfriend
But do you
or
know
something.
the amount of scars
Yes.
that we
You're
have
the Joker.
watching that stupid arena and just the I just want to,
Oh.
it actually physically pains me to talk about it. I don't want that. I
don't want that for you
I
as
would
your friend.
You
much
okay?
rather
Like-
Florida.
Zaka, Coyle, first two centermen,
No, you're right, Kip. That's not powerhouse stuff.
right? I know Pasternak has owned the Leafs and DeBrusque comes up huge and there's Marchand, but there's a first for everything, Sammy.
Yeah, sure.
This could be your little Stanley Cup beating the
shut
Boston
up.
Bruins in the
Give
first
me a
round.
break. That wouldn't be my Stanley Cup. Never have I. Okay, I don't even know where to go with this.
It would be big for you. though,
Were Sam
beating
Bennett on the
Boston.
Leafs? Would you say you're comfortable with him as a second line center? 39 points.
If he was a Toronto Maple Leaf
Yeah.
as a centerman,
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm saying that they're not loaded to the nines either down the middle. Barkov, but then it's
Yes.
Bennett, Lundell,
I like Barkov
Stenlund.
and Bennett better than I do Coyle and
Sure,
Zaka.
with you there.
Right. And we're talking about the premier shutdown centerman in the league to go up against Matthews.
Mm-hmm.
So
Big test.
I think
Big test.
I think
Yeah, you're right.
I-
Probably
I-
Boston.
I'd like Leafs against Boston.
But you go down to game one. That's potentially going to be on Saturday night, and it's in Florida. It's in Sunrise. You're going to have 25 to 30% Leaf fans in there. It's going to be not as intimidating of a building for the Leafs. There's not as many scars in that building. They played 2 games in that building last year. They won one of them in the playoffs. So one of the only ones they won. So I don't know, man. I just a lot of ghosts in Boston, boys.
Fair enough.
Okay, we'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll welcome former NHLer, Florida Panther Bill Lindsay, now doing color commentating for the Panthers. He'll help us tee up tonight as well as that potential first-round match between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Florida Panthers. That more when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne after these words. The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, and a very chatty Sammy McKee.
In a good mood today, boys.
Lots of
Our show
Lots of
isn't
good.
interrupting, your conversation off air, was it?
social time.
Never. Hey, I think that's one of the true draws of this show is that we all legitimately like each other. We're friends.
Sammy, don't be so sure.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Let's get to the guest.
Okay.
There are times.
Yeah.
We don't exactly see eye to eye on a few things, which is fine.
That's the point of radio.
The show wouldn't have a chance if we did just agree on everything.
For the most part, we like Sammy,
Thank you.
right?
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Don't ever change Sammy.
Except for when Disco Dan gets in here, you guys get out too fired up.
Well, Disco is very professional with his lineup.
He is he's
professional.
extremely professional. There's no question.
All right, we can wait on Bill Lindsay, who will give us a little bit of a feel for the Florida Panthers, who I think have come down to earth a little bit. Like there was a stretch between like end of January, February, where I don't know, they lost once in like 15 games or something.
Yep.
It was off the charts.
I tell you, it's also annoying for Leafs fans that they've won 3 in a row. Like where they just start to find it again, that would be a little
Right,
inconvenient.
with 2 shutouts, by the way. Right.
That'd be inconvenient.
Yeah. The more we talk about it, probably Boston.
What's that?
The more we talk about it, like I look at those stats that we talked about yesterday, they're really good defensively.
Yeah.
And the thing that worries me with the Leafs is that when they get turned away in the middle of the ice, they kind of stop trying to go there, right? Like it's like
That's
they
been a
hit,
playoff issue
they hit that
for sure.
that door's locked, and they're like, well, I'm not getting it anymore. So
Shoot this
let's-
from distance.
Let's hit the.
Is there anything tonight or tomorrow night that can add to the power play goals that we saw against Detroit that would really make you feel a whole lot better here? Or has this just been an ongoing saga that no matter what the statistics say in terms of where they are league-wide, that there's just something constantly off with this power play.
I don't know. Like, they're 7th in the league at 24.4%. Like, I think it's strange to pretend that number comes from nowhere. Like, they shoot it in the net on the power play more than most teams. I've seen what you've seen. It's looked janky in the absence of Marner. Marner's back now.
Yeah.
I do expect it to be above average.
They've had flip-flopped over the last 3 or 4 years with Morgan Riley as well. If we can recall, a few years ago, Sandin, the push for Rasmus Sandin to quarterback the power play, I think in the bubble, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. No, or was it against Montreal?
Against Montreal?
Yes, which was the second year.
The second pandemic year was like crazy, in my opinion.
But it seemed more about Morgan just wasn't playing well on the power play, and they just wanted someone and didn't have anyone to turn to. But they got Klingberg because they wanted a true number one power play quarterback. But, this team's had a lot of success on the power play over the years with Morgan as the guy. So, I feel like they can find it. Florida's power play or penalty kill 6th, though. That hurts.
Yeah, I think if there's one thing that you have to kind of look at here, if I'm Sheldon Keefe and I'm in the room, we're having our specialty teams meetings, and you'd be like, everybody's probably talking to you about the penalty kill and how the penalty kill is bad and we're the worst in the league. Oh, this and this. On Saturday, that's gone. We can start again. You can start with a fresh sort of, same with the power play where it's like back to zero. You can start again. New set of eyes. Just try to reset it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to work, but it's certainly a strategy that you could use.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, they do have the talent, so it's just a matter of finding a rhythm and routine. Right now, it feels like a lack of deception. You kind of know where it's coming from all the time, with Marner the only guy who fakes anything and Matthews shooting everything. So hopefully things find their way because, special teams are going to matter a good deal still.
We mentioned Anthony Stolarz getting the start tonight. Joseph Woll will be the goaltender for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Is there anything that Joseph Woll does tonight that would shorten a leash for Samsonov, or is it just a short one as is?
I need clarification. Do you guys believe in the jinxiness of saying the S word?
Shutout?
Okay, good. If he gets a shutout tonight, does that change anything for you?
Shutout? You can't pre-curse a shutout. It's if you're in.
If you believe in jinxes, you believe in weird stuff
during the game. If CeCe's he's looking for a shutout, that's a curse. He's looking for a no-hitter, that's a curse. But if I'm going, Kikuchi tonight could throw a no-hitter, that's not a curse. During the game,
pretty
it is.
Jinxy to me.
Anyways, I'm the expert in this, okay? Leave it to me.
I go with Sammy on this one.
Stamp?
I think you got to be within the walls of the game.
Yes, agree.
I love this. I love that we have defined the parameters of jinx.
As all fans...
Pre-puck drop, are you good when you're on the ice with the other team?
As all fans know who are listening to this show, we're entering superstition season, where what TV you watch on, what couch you're sitting on.
This is you at night?
Sammy told me today when we got in that for the first time, he is feeling it a bit about this weekend. It's 4 or 5 days away.
Yeah,
puck is going to drop on playoffs. We're here.
We're in car flag season, boys. We're it's here. It's time. And when you're watching a game, there's certain things you have to kind of contribute. There's things you have to do. If you wear a certain shirt when they won, you got to put that on. You wear a certain hat, you got to put that on. Certain shoes.
Bunk watch together because
we've done you have records with certain friends at certain bars. Go to your lucky bar. Wear your lucky hat.
So
this stuff matters, boys. You got to do your part.
Back on the rails.
Okay, sorry. Sorry.
JB.
Yes. Hello.
You still like me, Kimmy?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
If Joseph Woll puts up a performance, 45 shots, right? 972 save percentage.
Yeah.
Is lights
behind
out.
The back save.
Is lights out.
You could talk me into starting him.
Can I talk you into starting him?
Yeah. Sammy's given up 11 in the last 2 games.
But he had a great second and third period that Sammy was so excited about the other day.
Yeah.
The Leafs were the best power play in the NHL in February. Doesn't sound like anyone on this show cares about that. So,
I definitely don't care
if we're
about
going
that.
on recent performance, it's going to be Samsonov. He would have to have an absurd night.
There's no night he could have that Samsonov doesn't start game one.
Is Samsonov going to play tomorrow?
No, I don't think.
But
It'll definitely
Woll,
be
right?
it'll be Jones tomorrow for sure.
game one, he's down 3-0 in the first period. Did you make that switch right away?
What's scary is
Like, that's the dilemma here is how much confidence would you have had in Joseph Woll? And if 4 days earlier he had an incredible game, that would speed up the process of potentially making a switch.
the problem is with Samsonov, like let's say it's 3-0 in the first period in Florida and you give him the hook. Is he done? Like, as he has not shown the ability to grind through tough mental
Well,
situations.
you assume if you pull him, you're down 1-0,
Game's over.
and then you've gone to Joseph Woll, and if you're thinking about going back to Sammy, there's a chance that you're down 2 or 3 games. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the danger.
Sure.
But I think this is a really important start for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Outside of the goaltenders, you got 19 guys wearing a uniform tonight that have to feel like this guy's got some mojo back here. Just plant the seed.
Do you low-key
That's
want
all.
to see Woll give up a couple? Have them be like, okay, we're fine with Samsonov. No, okay.
I want him to be really good so that they have another option.
Well, and that's where the Florida Panthers that we just said, between Stolarz and Bobrovsky right now, they've got a much better feel about their goaltenders going into the weekend. And the Leafs, I don't know, missed opportunity. Was the opportunity never presented for Sheldon Keefe to create that 1-2 punch going into the weekend? It just never materialized.
No.
And it was based off of
Giving Samsonov every start.
it was and the ones that you didn't go well in Boston for Joseph Woll.
I think hindsight is very, very easy to use here with the way that he handled Samsonov. Because looking at it now, it does seem absurd through the spectrum of the last 2 games that Samsonov had.
And his season.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
He was-
pre-Christmas.
Okay. Buddy, it's April. That was a different lifetime.
happen?
That just didn't happen.
Okay.
After he got called up until
From the American Hockey League?
no,
he went to
not even the American Hockey League,
From
the
the
Gulag. Yeah, that's where he got called up
The
from.
void.
But he's been really good, and how can you not be tricked into being like, he's our guy, he's our guy, he's our guy? Those last 2 starts had to shake everyone in the organization to the core of their souls. So
Anything can
the
happen
one
in
that absolutely they should be petrified from was the Perron
the side,
short side goal.
that was Columbus, Sammy. That was just
that
leaked
was
right through.
That one was, come on, Sammy.
Picture that one in a playoff game where it's a tight
That
game.
one's devastating.
Kills you. Yeah.
Well,
kills
hopefully
ya.
that's not the case. Sammy, our boy here, had some different stats for us than some of these Florida Panther players, and I think some interesting one. There's some unique guys over there. Gustav Forsling leads the NHL in plus-minus, plus 52 when he's out there. This guy kind of came out of nowhere. Is he their most important D-man? Like Ekblad, hit and miss? Like, it feels like Forsling's going to play.
When Montour's going, I think he's the inspiration back there.
Yeah.
Because he is he's all heart, man. That guy plays hard.
He does.
Can you think about what Carolina's decor looks like right now? And it's looked upon as one of the best in the league. Imagine they had Forsling too. It's crazy. They waived him. And
Take some
Florida
comfort
picked him
in
up.
that.
Take some comfort in what?
That smart teams make dumb decisions too.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
For sure. But it's
You can't hit
crazy
on
to look
everything.
at that.
And then Niko Mikkola leads the Panthers in hits and blocks. He's kind of another guy who's at the St. Louis Blues, right?
Just out of nowhere.
Just looking for a big body.
A very important player.
And the Rangers, the Rangers trade for him last
Yes.
deadline, right? He was part. Am I remembering that correctly?
I'm also remembering that vaguely.
Okay.
So I think you're correct
Kipper,
on that.
do you remember that? You're the Ranger guy.
Everyone feverishly.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Matthew Tkachuk has a team-high 272 shots on goal. What do you make of Tkachuk's season? Because this is a guy that was in the Hart Trophy conversation in previous years, just 26 goals in 79 games, 86 points. He's had multiple 100-point seasons.
Yeah.
Just one of those years where it just hasn't gone in for him?
Yeah.
He's coming off 109 and 104, both 40-goal seasons.
Yeah. They're not all oil paintings, but
No.
he still would be one of the most dangerous players on the ice because he can throw anything at you. Skill, scoring, physicalities, agitator.
It's funny, though. Like, in a lot of ways, he's just been – you just hear his name less. He's got 50 less PIMs than the season before. He's played 79 games, so just a little bit quieter season for Tkachuk.
I'm wondering how noisy or quiet he'll be tonight.
Yeah.
Like, what's his attitude tonight?
Let's lose so we play the Leafs.
No, that's not his style.
Nico Mikkola was indeed traded to the Rangers. He was part of the Tarasenko trade.
Oh.
They traded for both of them. When they traded last year at the dedeadline, they traded for Mikkola and Tarasenko.
And
Remember that game
Tarasenko's
as well?
down there right now. He's not lighting the house on fire here with
He'll score.
half a dozen goals in 16, 18 games. But still a kind of dangerous player out there to put the puck in the net. I was never a big fan. I think I've told you guys
well,
that.
when it happened, you were kind of like, you thought that might gum up the works a little bit more than help them.
Well, I think he's capable of going out there, but it's like, is he happy? Is he not happy today? Does he want more ice time? He still thinks himself as an Ovechkin type of superstar.
Which is crazy. But you look at his numbers this year, Kip, and here I'll give you my most mind-blowing stat. With the Ottawa Senators, plus 13. With the Florida Panthers, minus 2.
Wow.
Isn't that jarring?
That's weird.
That is strange. So, not sure how they feel about him, but yeah, 13 points in 18 games. Yeah, he's not exactly a guy pouring in points, and he's only playing 14.45 per game, and he was over 16 with Ottawa. So,
I wonder what the thought was on trading Kyle Okposo, because he has not been a regular either.
has he got in at all? I haven't seen him in a Panthers uniform.
Half a
I don't
dozen
feel like.
games.
Yeah.
So, but listen, if you're running into problems, at least he's an NHLer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. 0s in 6 games.
It's a tough spot, but
pins.
I guess them having some interest in having a guy who's heavy, can play behind them. Like, he makes a lot
He's
of
a
sense.
captain
as
of a
depth
team.
guy.
Good
Yeah.
guy, So,
Notoriously good guy.
Yeah.
Right now they've got some question marks on D in Florida with like a guy like Uvis Balinskis is in tonight. Looks like. So,
Love it.
Obviously that'll be Ekblad
Sorry
when it comes
about
down to it.
Bill just called in and apologized.
That's
boys.
okay. It's, you know
Sorry.
what? No, it's Florida wanting to avoid playing the Leafs. That's what it is.
They didn't want to give us anything because they
Didn't want
want
to give us anything. Right? Bill's scared to come on a Toronto radio show.
I don't know about that. Oh, Bill got mad at me last year.
He did?
Yeah, I don't think he knows who I am, but because remember when I went on Leafs Talk when I was unhinged and said that Florida Panthers don't care and their fans don't care, and I ended up on their Reddit. He was tweeting about how big of an idiot I was. So
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
he's not wrong.
Give me a period that Austin scores in tonight. First, second, or third.
No, it's the Leafs. It'll be tomorrow night at soonest.
No, first period, 10 minutes in, bar down.
Love it.
Okay, you heard it here first on the Real Kipper
Empty
and Bourne
netter against
Show.
Tampa.
All right, still plenty to go in the next hour as we go national, and we'll welcome in Brian Lawton as we talk league-wide. Stick around, plenty more on the Real Kipper and Bourne Show. We're live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. It's the Real Kipper and Bourne Show. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. This hour, Real Kipper and Bourne, brought to you by Bet365. In a few minutes, welcome in Brian Lawton, former NHL player, agent, general manager, broadcaster. Not much he hasn't done. Help us tee up what should be a very interesting night in the National Hockey League, particularly in the Eastern Conference.
So, Kipper.
Yes, Sammy.
Would you like to rescind all your comments
On
about how bad this race is?
Well,
Because
what is the interpretation of bad for you?
Well, I think it's gone as good as they could possibly imagine a playoff race going. Like if Gary Bettman could draw this up to have all these teams that are super relevant markets, Pittsburgh, you have Pittsburgh, so you have Ovi and Sid chasing with Washington.
You won't get an argument out of the
Flyers,
interest.
Historic franchise.
I get all of that.
Red
what
Wings.
I don't get is that there's some nights when it was just god-awful hockey to watch.
I mean, I can't dispute that.
I mean, they are racing to get to 89 or 90 points.
I know.
So it has been a race by definition.
Yeah, and it's like three teams are going to kick themselves for giving it away.
Yeah. Oh,
okay, that's the difference, Sammy. If you have a race where everybody's playing well and you've got one more win than the other team and you gave it everything you got and you're like, but there are teams that are going to be looking at themselves in the mirror going, how bad were we when we couldn't win an 89, 90-point playoff spot?
It's the perfect golf analogy where you want to see someone birdie 18 to win a tournament, not bogey it to give it away to the other guy. And we got a bunch of guys putting for double right now. We need someone to roll one in the hole. But yeah, listen, I'm joking though. It is cool that so many big teams are involved. The machinations of what could happen tonight are vast. Yes. I'm hoping to hand that off to Lots and be like, what's happening?
So I think to Sammy's point, and it's a good one, I watched Detroit and Montreal last night, right? With great interest. And
2 OT wins in a row for the
I also thought that Detroit was dead in the water last night.
Down 4-2.
Only to have Lucas Raymond. This guy's a hell of a player, boys.
Yeah.
Okay. He's going to be very special. But that was exciting to watch Detroit win it in overtime. Did
Pittsburgh
you see?
Must have been at home just blowing their brains.
Did you watch Larkin's 2-on-1 there?
No.
It's a beautiful pass.
Saucer.
Just
right
beautiful
over the stick, right on the
area pass. But he had to make it at a precise time.
Yeah.
And he just laid it in there for Raymond to walk right into it. But
Raymond over the last 5 games, here are his point totals: 2, 1, 4, 2, 2.
Yeah, he's Crosbying them into contention.
Yeah.
So which one of you two? I know I'm kind of like sometimes looking like a host, but I want nothing to do with explaining the dynamics of tonight.
I put it all
on
in
who's
there,
in and who's out.
You want or me, Sammy?
Morning, you're the
So who's
scholar.
going first?
You're the scholar.
So the Washington Capitals, if they win their hockey game tonight, they win. They're in. They're in the playoffs.
That's it. They are playing
Do we all understand that?
They're playing
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
They beat Philadelphia. It's over. Capitals are in.
All right. But
the Detroit Red Wings.
No. Stick with Philly here.
Okay.
Let's just focus on Washington and Philly tonight, and let's just kind of play out scenarios on this game. Okay. The Flyers are technically not out of this.
No.
So what do they need to do?
They need to win the game in regulation. If they win that game in regulation and then Detroit and Pittsburgh lose, they're in the playoffs.
So,
Oh my God.
So
That's
kind of
super possible.
It's kind of ironic here that you're playing a team that is going to knock you out if they win, but you can't go into the third period tied.
And you're right. Like there's a possibility if Washington takes so much as a point, they'll get in. So you could have to pull your goalie.
Tort said he will.
In a tie game.
Tort said he will.
Oh, he did?
He talked about it today. He said he will pull his goalie in a tie game.
Yeah. I mean, you have to. You're trying to get into playoffs.
Okay.
And what's fascinating is the reason they would get in if they were to tie this or beat Washington regulation is it would go to the 5th tiebreaker. They would actually end up with the same amount of points as Washington, but it would be tied in regulation wins, tied in regulation overtime wins. The head-to-head series, because they played 3 times, you cut the first one off, they'd be tied. And then the 4th one is, I don't know, who's got the most left-handed players. The 5th one is goal differential. And so they would get in on goal differential.
That's crazy.
I know. But Detroit also plays tonight.
Hold on. What would you give yourself sufficient time to pull the goalie? Like
It's tied 2-2.
It's a feel. It's got to be a
and
feel,
there's
right?
5 minutes left.
5 minutes to go.
You got to get the goal. You cannot go to overtime. You can't leave that to the last 90 seconds. You have to do it early.
What about if you get a power play with 10 minutes to go and you want to go 6 and 4?
You would pull them?
Immediately.
6
6
and
on
4
4?
with 10 minutes to go?
Let's go.
That's a lot of time.
Oh, if you're Mr. Torts, Mr. Best Coach in the league, Mr. Make It About Me, it's time, baby. Let's go. Get him out of there.
So that's a good game.
Really good game.
The Detroit Red Wings play the Montreal Canadiens tonight. Oh, we got lots.
Just finish your thoughts.
Just finish your thoughts and we'll throw it to Brian Lawton.
All right, so they need to. Oh boy, it gets a little tricky with these ones. If like the Caps get a point, they need 2, but then they'll have the tiebreaker. Just like everyone else, Detroit needs to win. Pittsburgh needs to win. They need other people to lose. Those 2 teams need help. Obviously, Philly does too in a different way, but.
All right, we'll get Brian Lawton into the mix here. Former NHL player, agent, general manager, has done it all. Friend of the show. Let's welcome in Lots.
How are we doing, Kyper?
A lot of smoke coming out of these ears, trying to figure out what's going to end up happening in the Eastern Conference here. But is this fun for you watching these teams? We did kind of mention Lots that, and JT kind of JB hit it on the nail here, saying that it's like watching someone trying to win a championship golf round with a bogey. But what do you make of all of this?
There has been conversations about that. Who wants it? Who's going to rise up and take it? We could kind of say the Islanders did that. The Predators did it down the stretch in the West. But for this last spot, it doesn't seem like anybody's kind of reaching out and grabbing the bull by the horns, that's for sure.
Do you like any of the teams more than the others between Philly, Detroit, Pittsburgh, and Washington? Is there one there you think could even contend to win a round?
Probably the team, that's on the outside looking in technically would be Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they could get it going. I feel like they can get goaltending. Obviously, they have the star players that have been there. They've got some star guys on the back end that you think could raise their level of play, but and they have played better as a team, shored up some of the weaknesses that really hurt them earlier in the year. But Washington with their goals against and what's gone on there, that's been a challenge. Obviously, Ovi's playing a lot better. Philly, that one just seemed to run out of steam for me. Detroit has been a good story. I thought they had it locked down about 3 weeks ago, a month. That kind of slipped away. Now they're hoping for other events to happen for them to get in besides what they can do. So it's the one thing I will say, it's been absolutely fascinating. It's been interesting to watch. And for that, I've enjoyed it. Just like in the West, it's not necessarily the drama of this proportion, but, there's still positions to be decided in the West, critical positions in terms of who plays who in the first round.
We're talking to Brian Lawton, former NHL player, agent, general manager, broadcaster. Lots, watching last night, we had our Sportsnet Monday night game featuring Detroit and Montreal, and it was electric in there, much like how it's been lately in Pittsburgh, much like it's been in Washington here. The Islanders, the fans are right into it. So, outside of the inconsistency of where these teams have arrived to this point, is there an argument now that some of these markets should not be cut off at the knees with, hey, thank you, your season's over, and the NHL eventually moves into a play-in situation where you're inviting 4 or 5 more teams into a scenario, a playoff type of scenario, and we're just done with the old look?
There's definitely an argument for it. I mean, let's be real. It generates more money. The NBA's having some success with it. I don't necessarily see it happening now, but I don't have any proprietary knowledge on that. I just think maybe, we're obviously talking about the Coyotes moving, but beyond that, if we get a couple expansion teams and all of a sudden there's 34 teams in the NHL. I think there might be some appetite to include more teams in the potential playoffs. And the way to do that, obviously, is to do it the way the NBA's done it. Have some play-in games.
Berkey didn't like that suggestion yesterday, the old playing games. Kyper, he wasn't happy about it. I'm going to ask you totally. No.
You've heard his take on that, haven't you, Lots?
I heard his take on that. I heard his take on Salt Lake City. I thought that was really interesting. The NHL potentially vacating a market like Arizona to go to a much smaller market with a building that I think holds around 11,000.
Yeah.
Can we get your thoughts on the Arizona situation and, ultimately Commissioner Gary Bettman's decision to do something that many people thought maybe could have happened 10 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of trials and tribulations. I think that Arizona is a great market personally. And, for any reasons that it didn't work out, it had more to do with wrong location, not the right lease agreement when they did even have a building in Glendale, and ultimately not, that 1,000% commitment you need to see from ownership in order to make, not just Arizona, but most of the markets in the NHL rely so heavily on the people that manage or own the clubs and are in charge of essentially managing them. We're not where Europe is, where, over in Europe, particularly in football or soccer, as we call it, if you're not all in for your club, the community will cancel you. They obviously have relegation over there. It's different, but that's where pro sports is heading, in my opinion. You're a custodian of these franchises. Ownership is different over there. I think that's the future of eventually what we'll have here. And when I look at Arizona, I can't say with certainty that it had that type of commitment, to ice the best team possible, to drive the franchise as far forward as the fans, want to see a commitment of in today's world.
So I'm sitting there today and I'm thinking about Salt Lake City and Houston and Atlanta and Quebec City and Kansas City and Cincinnati and Durham. And I'm just, like wherever they end up putting all these teams. And I had the thought that in soccer, which you mentioned, there was a proposed Super League where the 6 highest earning clubs had conceived of an idea where they would separate and have their own sort of little league, right? If we get to that many teams, is that a far-fetched idea? Because I'm worried about the quality of competition, Lots. I don't think we have enough players to put together a 36-team league with good players. And I can just see some teams saying, why are we doing this? Why are we funding these teams who can't do it themselves?
It's a possibility. I don't think we're there yet, obviously. 36 is still a long way from 32.
Fair.
Is it possible that we expand in the future? Everybody knows, what the dirty secret is in that regard, and that is that
$1 billion.
Really it's the only revenue the players don't, in the salary cap world, they don't touch.
Yeah.
I've never heard players really complain about that, but it's kind of a holy grail for, the owners to divvy that money up. So, do I think we'll go to 36 teams? I'm not sure in my lifetime. Do I think we'll go to 34? It sure feels a lot more certain than I would have said 3 or 4 years ago. Is it strictly because of money? No, the NHL announced record attendance this year, just today. Set a record in their history. So there's a lot of numbers and data that supports this growth. But when you have situations like this, Justin, I look at it and say, okay, how many is too many? Now you start absurd. Should we have 50 teams?
Right.
And of course, people say, no, we could never have 50. So everybody would agree in the argument there's definitely a number that's too many. I'm just not sure. I definitely don't think it's 34. Could it be just beyond that? Yes. 36 sounds like a lot, partly because we have relevance to the other leagues who are all roughly around 32 like the NHL is now.
Mm-hmm. Lots part of the announcement by the NHL with the attendance record is those outdoor games that you mentioned, and it's been a while now. They've been around a very long time, but the appetite has not gone down for these things. And why wouldn't the NHL schedule more of them?
Absolutely. I've covered a lot of these outdoor games. When I worked at NHL Network, I've probably done 8 to 10 of them. They're exciting events. They feel different. They're a little bit of a one-off. They can be somewhat weather dependent, but fans love them. It's just the novelty of it. Fans love their teams and they love to do anything different. And an outdoor game is an opportunity in a big way for the league to capitalize on that. And quite frankly, it's been a really good business decision for them. They've got it streamlined down where they can put a rink pretty much anywhere. We could do one in Saudi Arabia, I think, at this point. Doesn't really matter weather-wise. They're so buttoned up on it. Do I think it's going to go away anytime soon? No, I don't. I think it's been a good way to continue to introduce new people that will come to a specialty game every year. And it's been a way for the NHL to hit attendance numbers that we never thought were possible, quite frankly.
So the NHL has had the Heritage Classic games in Canada where we've had a couple of Canadian teams go at it. There are 4 Canadian teams in playoffs this year, which I don't know when the last time we had 4 Canadian teams, let alone 4 that have a legitimate shot. I think none of them are wild card teams. Am I right in saying that? I think none of them are wild card teams. So what would that mean for the NHL to have a Canadian team win a Stanley Cup? And I'm not saying, wouldn't it be awesome? Would they not want that because of viewership in the U.S.?
It would be awesome. There's no doubt about it. I love Canada. I've always loved Canada as an American hockey player, but Canada is where the game started for kids, certainly that were my age. I'm concerned about Canada now, though, to be honest with you. I'm concerned about your dollar and how that affects the business of hockey. And, what are we at now? 33, 34 on the exchange. As it goes away, it certainly does complicate things.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of people, screaming about expansion, maybe Salt Lake getting that team. I can understand that. Salt Lake, as Berkey pointed out yesterday, isn't the biggest city. But somebody clearly wanted to pay enough for it. I don't know anyone in Canada that was offering $1.3 billion
Kip was
for the Coyotes. Maybe someone was. I don't know. But ultimately, I'm concerned. When I look at Winnipeg and what's going on there,
is it a wake-up call, Lots?
Concerning.
Is Phoenix?
Yeah, I think it
is Arizona going to Salt Lake City a wake-up call for Winnipeg?
I think it is. It's not a money issue, clearly. I mean, David Thompson has all the money in the world. It's not that. It's just nobody, everybody wants to be relevant. And the Winnipeg Jets had a fantastic year this year. I hope that has stabilized everything and put it in a great place. But I think that's yet to be determined. I was surprised that we heard the turmoil to start with because I feel like Winnipeg's been pretty well run over the years. Kevin Cheveldayoff's done a nice job. Mark Chipman's been excellent in a steward of that business on the ground. But these are just the realities of professional sports. They're expensive. They're expensive for cities. When I look at the Canadian dollar and where it's at and what's gone on, I'm a little nervous about it for Canada because I have such great feelings for the country of Canada and what it means for hockey.
Do you think that the league, the Players Association, they got to revisit the advantages that the states like Florida, Nevada, Arizona have on state taxes, and the fact that a guy like Noah Hannafin can sign in Vegas for 7.5 that other teams like in big markets in Canada or New York would have to pay 9?
Well, it definitely doesn't hurt the Rangers. So that, to me, weakens that argument. But yes, in Calgary's case, they could look at that and say, but we offered more and we didn't get the player. Players have a freedom of choice when they do get to that coveted, unrestricted free agency period. Everybody seems to accept they've earned it by the time they get there. We did lighten those rules up significantly from the past. It's no longer 31 than it was when you and I played Kyper. So it's a tough argument. I don't see how you'd ever flatten that out, to be honest with you. And it's not, really what we're talking about is taxes, maybe a little bit of weather. Do guys want to play in Florida? I know as general manager of the Tampa Bay Lightning, wasn't a hard sell to try to convince free agents to come down there and play hockey. Great tax situation, great weather. Those are nice communities. It's just part of the deal at the end of the day. I don't know how to flatten it out. I get nervous on a macro standpoint economically when you see, some of those major changes and how it affects all the teams across Canada.
So looking at the Western Conference, we've talked quite a bit about the East in the early portion of the show. There is still lots to be unpacked about the West. The Canucks can lock up the Pacific Division. The Oilers may not catch them. What are your thoughts on favorites in the West and just how you see sort of the final days of things playing out there?
Well, watching the last 10 days in the West, it's obvious, people always ask, well, do teams want to play a certain team? Are they trying to guide their way there? It would have been impossible if you had that thought as the Vegas Golden Knights or the Edmonton Oilers or, certainly LA or Nashville. Gee, where would you like to finish? Who would you like to? We don't know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, Edmonton can still win the division. There's enough points available with 2 games left for them to pass Vancouver. They need Vancouver not to get any more points, essentially. So it is what it is, but it's made it really fascinating. I'm certain that, a team like the LA Kings, I think Vegas is going to win their last 2 games, and now they're going to pass them. So now LA is going to be matched up with Nashville, and I believe they lose the tiebreaker. So, when you look at that, and you'll have to forgive me because I've looked at these things so many times, if that's accurate or not.
Looks right.
Do you want to play the Dallas Stars? Do you want to play Vancouver? Would you rather play the Edmonton Oilers? It's been really interesting this year. Really fun, it's quite frankly, to watch.
Yeah, and Vegas would have to falter here, but a scenario of Dallas and Vegas playing in the first round going into these last few games is like when we go back to the trade deadline and what both these teams were able to do to stock up here. It's crazy the thought that one of those teams for sure is going home unhappy if they face each other in the first round.
Yeah, we never would have thought that was possible, especially after the start Vegas had. Now they had a bunch of injuries and looks like players are getting healthy now at the right time. They've got some new players in the door. So, Vegas looks to be rounding out right at the right time here. They could still be 100-point team when we thought that would be a lock. And then we thought they might not get there. They might miss the playoffs. They still could end up there and it could work out favorable for them. It just, in my opinion, isn't very favorable if they end up playing a team like Dallas. That would be a really tough draw, in my opinion, for them.
How do you feel about the Winnipeg-Colorado matchup? The Nate McKinnon and Cale Makar factor, everyone looks at the superstars, but maybe not as deep as Winnipeg. Maybe you don't like the goaltending as much. What do you see going on in that series?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting one. If you asked me off the cuff 3 months ago, even though Winnipeg was playing well, I'd say, I still don't think they'd be any match for Colorado. Colorado shifted out some toughness. I saw a couple of their games down the stretch here live. They've lost just a little bit of that element that they always had, and they're not a big team. They've got some big time players that are incredibly exciting. They've got some really dominant players that we know can do it in the regular season, but when it gets just a little bit heavier, a little bit tougher, after the last game I saw in person for them, which was against the Wild, a game when Colorado won easily, I left that game thinking I'm not as high on Colorado as I thought I was.
It's funny you mentioned that because I had a conversation with an NHL executive today, and we were both baffled at Casey Middlestat for Byram. And Casey doesn't come across as a big, strong, heavy second-line guy behind Nate McKinnon. He doesn't have Kadri-like tendencies here. That one is a little perplexing.
No doubt about it. I mean, Bowen Byram went and started great with Buffalo. He slowed down a little bit after that. I know Casey well. I've known him since he was a kid here. He's a guy that is a very good NHL player now, but he's still really figuring it out, what it means to be an elite NHL player. So there is a lot riding on him. Obviously, they were able to shore up with Sean Walker on the back end, and they felt good about that, at least from some of the folks I talked to in Colorado. Even though they know Bowen Byram has this tremendous upside, they want to win now, and they felt like that was a positive. But it all hinges on Casey, like you're saying, in my opinion, Kyper. And, for a guy who got there, and the first real words we heard out of his mouth is, man, they practice really hard here. It made me a little nervous.
Well, maybe that's a little bit of a shot to the Buffalo Sabres and the fact that they fired head coach Don Granato. Just lots. I mean, Kevin Adams couldn't wait till the weekend when the whole season's over. He had to do this today.
It seems strange to me. I reached out to Tony today by chance. I'm very good friends with Donnie and Tony. And our thoughts and prayers continue to be with Tony. He's traveling for some of his challenges in life. But, it seemed odd. It just seemed odd. It's like you said, generally, we have Black Monday in football. We don't really have that in the NHL, but we have black at the end of the season, as in it's over. So, that's generally when these types of things have happened. And
feels personal when when they do it that quick.
Yeah, it does. And it's not necessary in this business. If there's one thing I've learned throughout my experience, just in business, been mostly with the NHL in different circumstances, but you want to remove the emotionalism from it. I know it's been a rough go for Buffalo. It's been a very, very long time. It's starting to sound like a fable to our children since they were in the playoffs. But the reality is that Buffalo made huge strides this year. They're making good progress. They're going to get there. It's just really competitive now, and there's a lot more teams. It's not the 21 team we played in, Kyper, when we were younger. That's all.
Sometimes I wish it was.
Same.
Well, it was a very happy time because 16 out of 21 teams made the playoffs.
That's right. Hey, lots.
So,
Great stuff, man. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for doing this. We'll see you in the playoffs.
My pleasure, guys.
Thanks lots. Appreciate
Thanks for
it.
having me on.
That's Brian Lawton.
Yeah, the Granato thing was interesting.
Interesting. Like, I get it.
Yes, if you're
a lot
going to
of
do it, I
pain
guess just
there
do
in
it.
terms of, how many consecutive years is that now?
13.
13.
God, that's a long time.
That's a long
Leafs
time.
fans are like, we can't get out of the first round. Well, you just did, and you've made playoffs 8 straight years.
You just mentioned something there about when you were playing, lots of playing 21 teams. Can you imagine what the league would look like now if there was 21 teams? The talent.
Be an all-star show.
Imagine.
Yeah.
I'm not to discredit the time when you played.
Oh, no. Like, the development over the course of the 25 years in terms of what these guys are able to
It's
do
all
now.
sports, right? The bottom end is better.
The equipment, all of it. It's just, to your point, the selection of guys that will play on the third or fourth line that are first liners right now on non-contending teams.
Mm-hmm.
Be scary league.
I know we're going to talk about McDavid getting to 100 assists after the break or whatever, but that Sharks team, I'm like, can we just chop them off the end of the league?
I've said before that, you can tear it down, but you shouldn't do what they've done.
Can we just chop them off?
So bad last night watching that.
Embarrassing.
They don't want to be there. People paid money to do it. It's just like,
But I mean, at least
be able to punt the points.
No wonder McDavid wanted to come back. He's like, yeah, I'll play that.
Yeah, I'm ready.
He's like, whatever. I'm starting to feel a little better. Maybe I'll get my 100 assists against them.
Automatic cookie night.
Yeah. Let's do a break, and then we'll come back and do game time after the break. How's that sound?
All right. And, of course, we'll got your game time, as you just mentioned, plus the conversation on Connor McDavid reaching 100. And where do we go from here in the last few games? Before we go to break, I just don't recall an MVP having this much to talk about between 3 or 4 guys. I think it's great.
Yeah.
But man, oh man, is it putting some pressure on a lot of guys voting right now. And the fact that you guys expose who you pick right now has made it rather fascinating.
would you do your picks on the show?
Yeah, for sure. But I don't think I can say definitively. Like Elliot puts out an article and it's like, here are the guys I'm choosing among.
Considering.
Yes, among these 3 guys or whatever. So I don't know till it's revealed if I can. I'll look into that for you.
Like the voting police will come.
Yeah,
and
they'll take
get
my
you.
vote, pal. I value this.
Can I reveal my Hart ballot?
Let's have it.
No, after the break.
Okay.
Almost.
See that?
Let's see
That's
if
a
we remember.
tease.
Now, it's a tease where we might not remember.
We're probably the worst at teasers. We're really good at teeing it up. And we're like, what about that?
Okay, we're back with that and more when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. The Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sam McKee. Just going to break.
Game time. We'll do game time.
Oh, we'll go to break. Okay, and then we'll follow up our conversation.
It's game time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds to find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Now, we're going to test the theory tonight. The Boston Bruins are minus 220 on home ice against the Ottawa Senators.
Oh, boy.
The Ottawa Senators, the hungry Ottawa Senators.
Oh, they're hungry.
Looking to prove that they're going to be great next year.
They weren't hungry the other night, were they? Against Florida?
Not
No,
that
they suck.
hungry.
They
Those
suck.
are 6-0.
I'm hungry, actually. Plus 180. This is testing the theory that the Boston Bruins are desperate to face the Toronto Maple Leafs and avoid the Tampa Bay Lightning. I actually think the Tampa Bay part of this is bigger than the Leaf part of it. I think nobody wants Tampa.
Yeah.
And I think they are like, well, if we're picking the lesser of 2 evils here, we'll pick the team that has the famous, playoff woes and all that stuff, and avoid the, annual stud guys who are great at every year in the playoffs. So that's more of it to me. But I'm going to take the Ottawa Senators tonight plus 180 over the Boston Bruins and test the theory.
Both on back-to-backs.
Mm-hmm.
Boston could conceivably be resting some people, thinking they're okay,
They could
and don't
definitely
care
rest
and don't care if they lose.
Yep. And to go even further,
Actually, I like it. I like this pick.
the lose off.
Mm-hmm.
The Toronto Maple Leafs you get a very rare opportunity to get the Toronto Maple Leafs as a big time underdog. So if you parlay the Toronto Maple Leafs to win, I just got to quickly log in. Okay.
Why would anyone think Toronto's going to win tonight?
Well, because if Florida, they want to lose too, so that they can.
Florida needs to. Oh, I see.
So they're going to try to lose, and the Bruins are going to try to lose.
Keep the Leafs.
Yes. What's happening here?
Oh
That parlay is plus
You're
558.
You're like a mad scientist
I'm
now.
cooking, boys. I'm cooking.
Oh my God!
Ottawa Senators and the Toronto Maple Leafs.
But you're Doc
plus
right now from
558.
Back to the Future.
There you go. All right. If we come in here tomorrow and if this is completely wrong, you guys can make fun of me, and you probably will.
Hold on. You're not about to end game time, are you?
No.
Okay, good.
Why?
Well, because there's some big hockey games tonight.
Okay.
So hold on for a second.
All
I
right.
can't
So,
remember about the tinfoil
so
hat.
Boston's absolutely petrified of Victor Hedman and Darren Radish as the number one pair.
Nick Perbix and
Nick Perbix.
I think they're more afraid of the big, scary, tall guy that
And
wears 88,
Matt
who's
Dumba.
playing the best he's played all year and looks like he's back. I think they're more afraid of that than they are. The goalie?
Yeah.
Vasilevsky.
I was like, Cooch is 86.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy that was the crazy eyes?
Heard of him.
Yeah. So,
He's been okay. Maybe something to it.
I mean, what would you rather go up against? Samsonov and Woll-ish or
listen,
Vasilevsky? Come on.
His point is not without merit.
The last one.
It's incredibly
the
valid.
last one resonated.
Vassie
Yeah.
or Samsonov?
So
Which
the
Russian
last
goalie?
comment about Vasilevsky
In my-
versus
My try to lose parlay, it's not a great name, but it's plus 558 for the Sens and the Leafs
All
tonight.
right.
So there you go. Red Wings obviously need it tonight, big time. They're minus 200, not a ton of value on them. If you're looking at that Flyers-Caps game, the Flyers are actually pretty big favorites. They're minus
Really?
130. Yeah. Caps plus 110 on the road. And the Penguins don't play tonight. So they just have to potentially watch their season out without being able to control it. So those are the one.
Here's one for you. What's the over-under in Philly, Washington? I think you're going to get playoff level intensity in
1-0.
defense. Yeah, I think it'll be a
1-0.
really low-scoring
If
game
you want to
tonight.
pick the under in that game,
2-1.
the total is 5.5. It's plus 100.
It's pretty low, 5.5.
5.5. So they're on there. They're kind of sniffing out what you're sniffing as
It's
well.
like they've watched hockey before.
Yep. So
right.
that was my game time. And that's game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Last night, the Oilers, as we mentioned, just ran over supposedly NHL team called the San Jose Sharks.
Yeah.
Relegate.
Before you
McDavid,
do this, do you
yeah.
want his MVP ballot? Because we're
Well, we're gonna
save
we're
it?
just
Let's save
we're
it.
gonna
Okay.
mention
Okay.
McDavid's 100
Yeah.
assists
Go ahead.
last night, and very comparable to Austin hitting 70, or even, in fact, greater, the same. Where do you have 100 assists compared to 70 goals? Because it kind of leads us into an MVP.
You know, they've happened, like the amount of seasons of 100 assists and seasons of 70 goals are pretty comparable, all told. The fact that there's another guy with 100 assists this year is maybe puts it a little bit secondary to 70, where he's 15 goals ahead of the next guy. But it's obviously, I'm not trying to take away from, it's insane. Like, no one has done it in forever. Gretzky did it 11 times and then basically no one else.
11.
Lemieux.
Think about
and
that for a second.
Orr, the other two.
I think there's been 13 total seasons. 11 are Gretzky.
Think about that.
11 times
11.
Yeah.
is obscene.
Who did he most prop up? He's going
Gretz?
yeah. Like, what player is like
Curry.
Yeah, you think statistically Curry has half
Has
the
to
numbers
be.
playing with you instead
Has
of
to
Gretzky?
be.
Yeah,
I'm sure he was probably
Curry
pretty
was a
good.
great finisher, though.
of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
finish.
Finisher.
But listen, 100 assists. To me,
That's
it's
just a golf clap. I mean, that's
but like come back against the Sharks to get it.
yeah.
And why wouldn't you?
Ever got to
you know
play
who
the
I wish-
Sharks 3 times this year? He
You know who
should
I
be
wish-
no different.
You know who I wish the Leafs were playing tonight? The Sharks.
Yeah,
Would have
that-
really liked that.
that would be nice.
I guess
Not,
that's
not the best defensive team in the league
Yeah, that's it.
for your boy.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, did you watch any of the games that he didn't play in? McDavid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why isn't he MVP?
Did you just think they look that much different to you?
Yeah. And I think they won with him a couple times. Just to me, that's like not it's an above 500 squad,
Yeah.
but they're in the fight for a playoff spot without him. And I know it's a very easy thing to say. Like,
Sure,
he's
it's
the
like
best guy
any
in the
team,
world.
right? Yeah, take the best guy in the world off whatever team he's on. They're worse.
But to me, I think
we can say that for 5 guys.
I think he's MVP.
Kucherov
Yeah.
in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
They missed the playoffs without him, do they not?
Oh yeah, I mean they're in playoffs by a handful of
Yeah.
points.
But this was a team that was teetering on
Mhm.
missing too. Like, we kind of wrote them off.
Yeah,
December,
yeah. There was a point there where
yes.
we had punted.
We're like, no.
Maybe
good.
I didn't. I think you guys.
No, I think a lot of us were there.
Did we all?
Oh my God, boys! I talked about it. I screamed it from the rooftops. I said
Yes.
they're done. They're done. They're not coming back. I also said the Oilers were done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not a lot of great takes coming from me.
So who is your MVP?
I think it should be McDavid. He's the best player in the league.
I love that argument. Great.
He's the best
It's
player.
a
in the,
fine vote.
he's the best player in the league. He's got 100 assists in 75 games he's played.
Mhm.
32 goals to match up. Best player in the league. The team kind of stinks without him. He's just really great. And I think if I had a vote, I'd
Yeah.
vote him every year. I think Matthews deserves to be in the conversation. I see a lot of people saying that like he's not having a season as impressive as all these guys because he doesn't have these massive point totals. I think he's right there. Like I truly believe that. But if I really had to put it out there, I would vote for McDavid every year because he's just that good.
Go ahead, Kim.
No, you go ahead.
I don't know if you saw my tweet today.
I did not.
I had a 1,000-word single tweet today on how I vote for the Hart Trophy, and whatever people choose, however they choose to define it, I'm okay. We have 200+ voters because we all look at it differently. We accumulate the votes and we'll get it right between 200 people. So I'm fine with that vote.
I think it's so close.
Mhm.
It's really going to come down to what's your favorite uniform. No, I'm serious. I'm serious. You can sit there and you can analyze all your crunch whatever numbers you want.
Mm.
No one's going to crap all over you because you went McDavid and you went Kucherov and you went
No, you can make a
Nate.
case for
You-
any of the 4 guys.
exactly. So what is it? I don't.
What's the best
Kucherov,
narrative
I'm
award?
telling you, Kucherov's going to lose it because maybe his all-star appearance. It just maybe rubbed somebody the wrong way. That's it. Have you met some of
Won't be
these
me.
voters?
No, I'm going to be very careful.
Come on.
I've met a lot of them. Yes, they're all very nice people, and I love them all.
I voted with them for many years before. Yeah, come on. How much?
The comments of Nick Kypreos do not reflect Justin Bourne and Sam McKee.
Do you really think they're breaking
His pad doesn't, his code doesn't work on the door
Do you
anymore.
really think they're breaking it down to a science here?
I do. Yeah.
Again, I put my all into this.
Bourne is an incredibly detailed-oriented
I know.
guy.
And at the end of the day, it may come down to his favorite uniform too.
No, that's so wrong.
I
don't
don't
appreciate
matter
that.
to me.
No.
I try to pick who's had the best season.
And you don't know who has the best season.
Don't.
You don't.
But
You're
I do
clueless on that.
But I try to have as
I
much
know.
information as
you
possible.
Try to look as important
opposed to
as
the
you
implication
can.
where we go,
It's too
I
close.
like the Canucks.
It's too close.
It's close enough that you can make a case for a bunch of guys.
The reason I would vote McDavid is because everyone would be like, oh, what was your rationale? I'm like, well, I just think he's the best player, and I think he means the most to his team. I think
he's the best player. He's the
10
best
years
player
from now.
with 20, 30 points less.
Yeah, but he's missed games.
Where are we talking about Sid Crosby here? Why is no one mentioning Sid Crosby?
People are mentioning him.
He gets
but
mentioned.
he's dead. Not like the other ones, and it's going to be 5th place for
You
him.
don't want him.
right?
You don't want Matthews to have it because he's 30 points behind. Crosby's 50 points behind.
Yeah.
That's why he's not coming up as much anyway. I mean, he's
That's
in the
right.
conversation.
We've turned it. We're mesmerized by numbers, man. We want the highest numbers. We don't give anybody any attention because we are in a number-driven world
You like
right
the
now.
eye test? You like the eye test. Well, that's exactly what you're talking about. You like your jersey better. You go, I don't know, like his style better, whatever it
Yes.
is. I don't even. What do you want? What are you going for? Like you're
your
right.
point?
I'm saying
You're right.
It
What?
really doesn't. I'm with that goalie there that said we're all going to be dead. We're all going to be
Okay.
dead. It doesn't
I can
really
live with
matter.
that.
It doesn't really matter.
That I can live with.
That's what I'm down to.
Yes.
Hey,
And 10
pick
years from
somebody
now,
and let's move on.
when we all tell people who we voted for, and Sam McKee says, I voted for Connor McDavid, everyone go, of course he did. He's
Well,
the best player of the time. He's in his prime. It would work.
I also have a proposal to make MVP and stats a lot more meaningful. Get rid of secondary assists. I think it should be the first assist.
Yeah, that does your boy Matthews a big favor.
Well,
I'll tell you
I'm
that.
looking at the leaders in secondary assists. My boy McDavid is second in the league. McKinnon is third in the league. And Kucherov is fourth in the league.
Matthews is 1,000.
I don't
So
know. Well, I
let's-
mean, he doesn't have that many assists anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, how many secondary goals does Matthews have? Oh, wait, he shoots them all in the net.
I was like, wait, what?
Let's have artificial intelligence pick it.
I love that idea.
Let's not even play the games. Let's just run computer simulations of the games.
Oh, my God. Now we're talking. Having said all that,
Okay,
I think the
there's other
actual,
things we should actually
the
talk about.
actual order will probably go McKinnon, Kucherov, McDavid, Matthews, Crosby.
I'm not saying I like that ballot, but I like that ballot.
I think that's probably how it will go.
No one will argue one way
I
or
think
the
Quinn
other.
Hughes should be in the
Quinn Hughes
conversation instead of
definitely-
Sid, too.
Where's Panarin, guys?
Panarin? Yeah,
Oh.
I know.
Yeah, he's having a hell of a
Oh
year.
my
He's six.
gosh.
Roman Yossi,
6th,
Connor
He's
Hellebuck.
6th, maybe 5th.
I got 100 guys sixth.
I like the Ranger uniform.
Yeah,
They are beautiful uniforms, bud.
there. Okay, Jack Edwards going to retire after this season. He has announced that he's to be his last year at the Bruins. Polarizing figure. Some people hate him. Apparently, people in Boston
Well,
love him.
Listen, he's a paid employee of the Boston Bruins. He's on
He has served
2.5
his audience
hours.
well.
He's did his job. And yes, he upset people, but that's not who he was talking to
Nope.
every night.
Well
it was
said.
the diehard
Yeah.
Boston Bruins. I've got a lot of time for Jack Edwards.
He was a
Didn't agree with
character.
everything he said.
Yeah, most of them
But
in my case.
I think he was good for the game, good for the Boston Bruins.
I have a lot of respect for his career. You know, I got my brother-in-law in Boston, Angelo Capitanakis. Hello.
Oh,
Okay. Yasu.
And he's yes, sir. You know, and I know him and all his boys. They love Jack, right? Like he speaks to them.
He's a Boston Bruin.
Yeah.
and I will say that he is designed in a lab to piss me off.
Yeah.
I am the guy he pisses
A
off.
Toronto Maple Leafs fan. Yeah.
And I have, like, him in his prime was the most electrifying play-by-play guy in the league.
Yeah.
Like, as far as
He
regional
could ramp up the
as far
temp.
as regional guys go, I love Bones. I love like every guy that's done it. But like him ramping it up, that building's going, and it's just like him, he was amazing
And
for a long
narrates your
time.
nightmares.
Absolutely.
like for them, it's a 2.5 hour infomercial
Yes.
to promote the
Consume
team.
product.
And that's okay.
I think
that's what it's about.
I think he retired because what's his name's on the team now? Pat Maroon.
Oh, yeah.
That's why he retired.
There are Canadian fans who would like their broadcasters to be more like Jack, right? To be more biased, to be root for the home team.
I personally think that our Sportsnet guys are the best in the world.
They are the best.
Yeah. CC, love you.
Cheering for the Leafs.
Love you.
No, people don't think they do, though.
It's unbelievable. And we get it too. Obviously, our second hour goes national. But I am so split on people that think I absolutely kiss the ass of the Toronto Maple Leafs or want them to lose.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
You're playing it right then, I think. Yes.
I don't get that part.
50-50, which is, I think, the best way to go about it.
Buddy, I think you're nailing it. You know what? We do sometimes hear, maybe dial it back a little bit on the poor Leafs. But
big for the Canucks tonight. Demko back between the pipes against the Flames.
How quickly does he need to feel good again?
One hockey.
How many games? 16? He was out?
Yeah, it's a long time.
It was a long time. 14, 16, somewhere around there. He's going to decide how serious the Vancouver Canucks get. 14 games.
All the talent the Canucks have, Demko back, Tocchet coaching. My hopes are up.
So what I'll say is I think Kippy, when we were talking about this yesterday, I think when people start putting out their little brackets, Nashville's going to be a popular upset pick. And I think the Canucks are going to wipe the floor with them.
I do too. Love
It'd
that.
be a 5-game series type of thing.
I am curious to see this Vegas. Vegas has Chicago, Anaheim, and they can pass LA. That changes Edmonton's odds to me.
Big time.
I still think I like the Oilers there, but it's tight, boy.
Okay, so we know Sammy thinks Ottawa's going to beat Boston tonight.
I do.
Do you have Detroit taking care of Montreal?
I do.
To at least control their part?
I hope all these teams win. And I'm all the teams on the cusp win.
Well, there's Washington and Philadelphia.
Washington and Philly can't. But I don't want to see all of them lose and someone just trickle into the postseason.
Yeah.
We don't want someone to lose their way in here. Let's have a winner. Detroit in overtime. Get it done.
All right. And Washington?
Need Philly to beat Washington then.
They've been that
Washington
team that
needs
just
a point, I think.
has not gone away.
Let's get a little chaos. Let's have the Flyers beat them in reg tonight.
Last second. I most would like to see Pittsburgh get in. Just see Sid get in there. And, the Penguins have the elite guys that could get hot and make it weird.
So hard for me.
Dubas will celebrate.
So hard for me.
Leafs fans will love that.
There's one team I could have picked for him to not go to. It's the other one I root for in the East.
Yeah.
Sid. And he goes there, and I'm like,
Maybe Sid will be in the Avalanche next year. And you can.
I want Sid to get 10 points.
Sid's not going to make the playoffs. He's going to go out scratching and crawling, that's for sure.
Yep. Very good.
Okay, our thanks to Brian Lawton.
Hey, quickly, tomorrow, 11 a.m. for Jays. We're actually on tomorrow, 11 a.m. You're not here. Me and Bourne will be on the air after Matthew scores his 70th tonight.
No guests, just McKee and I for an hour.
11 a.m. if you're listening. 11 a.m.
Jays throwing us a curveball again.
Yeah,
but at least they're winning now. At least they're hitting it right now.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
They scored 2 of the runs on a walk.
All right.
Here they come.
Enjoy your game tonight in the National Hockey League. There's 8 of them. And if you get a chance, give us a rating and review. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us what a great job I'm doing and tell us what's wrong with the other 2 on the show. Have a great night, everybody.